You ever get that feeling? Like something's watching you, lurking just beyond the edge of your vision? A coldness that seeps into your bones, even though the room's warm? That's how it started for me. A creeping unease that something was terribly wrong. I was just browsing online, the usual late-night scroll through the abyss of the internet. But then I stumbled upon something, a collection of videos so disturbing, so deeply unsettling, that they've clung to me ever since. Videos that defy explanation, that whisper of something sinister lurking beneath the surface of our reality. And trust me, once you see them, you won't forget them either. These aren't your typical creepypastas or internet mysteries. These are glimpses into the darkest corners of the human psyche, raw, unfiltered, and utterly terrifying. So if you're brave enough, if you think you can stomach it, join me as we delve into the unsettling world of 7 disturbing videos from around the internet. But be warned, you might want to keep the lights on for this one. The first video starts innocently enough. A swing set sways gently in the breeze, its rusty chains creaking a mournful tune. The camera pans across an empty playground, overgrown with weeds, the faded colors of a once joyful place now tinged with a melancholic gray. It's the kind of place you might find in any town, a forgotten relic of childhood, tinged with a hint of sadness. But as the camera lingers on a chipped plastic slide, a figure emerges from the shadows. A child, or at least, that's what it appears to be. It's small, dressed in what looks like a tattered white dress, its long dark hair obscuring its face. The figure doesn't move, just stands there, staring directly at the camera, a chilling stillness that seems to defy the gentle sway of the swing set. And then, just as quickly as it appeared, it's gone, vanished back into the shadows. The person filming, clearly unnerved, slowly approaches the spot where the figure stood. There's nothing there, just the rustling of leaves and the distant hum of traffic. But as they pan the camera across the playground once more, something catches their eye. One of the swings is moving, swinging back and forth with an unnatural speed, as if pushed by an invisible force. The wind picks up, whipping through the playground, creating a cacophony of rustling leaves and creaking metal. The camera person, clearly terrified, stumbles back, their breath catching in their throat. The camera shakes violently, capturing a fleeting glimpse of something moving in the distance, a blur of white against the encroaching darkness. And then, the video cuts out. Just like that, the mystery of the abandoned playground and its ghostly inhabitant is left unresolved. What was that figure? Was it a real child or something else entirely? And what was the force that pushed the swing? Some unseen entity toying with the living? These are questions that haunt me to this day, questions that linger long after the video ends. The abandoned playground remains a chilling reminder that some places hold secrets best left undisturbed. And as we move on to the next video, remember, this is just the beginning of our descent into the disturbing and the unexplained. This next video, if you can even call it that, is perhaps the most unsettling of all. It's just a single shot, a static image displayed on a worn-out VHS tape. The image itself is grainy, distorted, as if captured through a thick fog. It depicts a dimly lit hallway, the wallpaper peeling at the seams, the air thick with an oppressive silence. At the end of the hallway, partially obscured by shadow, stands a figure. It's tall and slender, its features obscured by the poor lighting and the static that dances across the screen. But it's the eyes that truly unsettle, two piercing white orbs that seem to bore into your very soul, a gaze that seems to hold an ancient, unknowable intelligence. It's a look that sends shivers down your spine, a look that speaks of something deeply, profoundly wrong. The video, or rather, the static image, continues for what feels like an eternity. The silence is deafening, broken only by the occasional crackle of the VHS tape. But as you stare at the figure, you can't shake the feeling that you're being watched, scrutinized by those piercing white eyes. A sense of dread creeps into your bones, a primal fear that whispers of something sinister lurking just beyond the veil of reality. It's as if the figure is aware of your presence, as if it's reaching out from beyond the screen, attempting to establish a connection. Some say that staring at the image for too long can have strange effects, that it can induce vivid nightmares, hallucinations, even feelings of paranoia and unease that linger long after you've looked away. The video ends abruptly, the screen fading to black, leaving you with a lingering sense of unease and a profound sense of being watched. What was that figure in the hallway? Was it a simple trick of the light, a figment of our collective imagination? Or was it something more, something that exists just beyond our perception, something that observes us from the shadows? The static stare remains a chilling reminder that sometimes, the things we can't see are the most terrifying of all. And as we delve deeper into this collection of disturbing videos, remember, the line between reality and nightmare is thinner than you might think. Deep within a forgotten wing of a dilapidated city hospital, a group of urban explorers stumbled upon a chilling sight. Armed with their cameras and a thirst for the unknown, they ventured deeper into the shadows, unaware of the horrors that awaited them. The air grew heavy with the stench of decay, a testament to the years of neglect that had ravaged the once sterile halls. As they navigated the labyrinthine corridors, their footsteps echoed through the eerie silence, each step raising the hairs on the back of their necks. A sense of unease settled upon the group, a primal instinct warning them they were treading on hallowed ground. They pressed on, drawn deeper into the heart of the abandoned ward by a morbid curiosity. The flickering beam of their flashlights danced across rusted gurneys and shattered medicine vials, painting an unsettling tableau of forgotten suffering. The silence was broken only by the sound of their own breathing and the distant dripping of water, each drop like a hammer blow on the anvil of their mounting fear. They were about to uncover a secret, one that had been buried for years within these decaying walls. As they rounded a corner, their flashlights illuminated a heavy metal door, its once pristine white paint now a sickly yellow, scarred with scratches and stains. It was ajar, as if beckoning them to enter. A cold draft emanated from the room beyond, carrying with it the faint whisper of something unseen. The explorers exchanged uneasy glances, their hearts pounding in their chests. What they were about to find would haunt them forever. The room was a time capsule of suffering, frozen in the moment it was abandoned. A single iron-framed bed dominated the center of the room, its thin mattress stained and torn. Medical equipment lay scattered across the floor, covered in a thick layer of dust. But it was the documents on the bedside table that sent a chill down their spines. A patient's file, its pages yellowed with age. The name on the file read, Bartholomew Crane, and as they delved deeper into his medical history, a sense of dread began to creep upon them. Bartholomew had been admitted for a mysterious illness, one that baffled even the most experienced doctors. His symptoms were as varied as they were terrifying: hallucinations, insomnia, seizures, and an unexplainable aversion to light. As the explorers read further, they learned that Bartholomew's condition had deteriorated rapidly. He would scream in terror at unseen entities, claw at his own skin until it bled, and beg for death's sweet embrace. The doctors, desperate to alleviate his suffering, resorted to increasingly experimental treatments, but nothing seemed to work. The final entry in the file, written in a shaky hand, spoke of Bartholomew's sudden and violent demise. He had ripped out his IVs, smashed through restraints, and launched himself headfirst through the room's window, his screams echoing through the night before being silenced forever The explorers looked at each other, their faces pale, the weight of Bartholomew's suffering heavy in the air. The explorers, shaken by what they had read, decided to leave the room, their initial curiosity replaced by a growing unease. But as they turned to go, they heard something that sent shivers down their spines, a faint humming coming from the corner of the room. It was a haunting melody, mournful and chilling, like the lament of a tortured soul. They slowly approached the source of the sound, their flashlight beams cutting through the oppressive darkness. There, in the corner, they found an old, wind-up music box, its intricate carvings barely visible beneath a thick layer of dust. It was playing the same haunting tune they had heard moments before. One of the explorers, unable to resist the urge, reached out and gently picked up the music box. As soon as his fingers brushed against its cold metal surface, the humming stopped. The room fell silent, the silence so profound it was almost deafening. The explorers held their breath, listening for any sign that the music might start again. Then, as quickly as it had stopped, the music box sprang back to life, its mournful melody filling the room once more. The explorers, their nerves shot, dropped the box and stumbled back in terror. As they fled the room, the haunting melody followed them, echoing through the desolate halls of the abandoned hospital ward. They had stumbled upon something dark and sinister, something that refused to be forgotten. The grand stage of the Rialto Theater was set for a night of wonder and illusion. Renowned magician Jasper Blackwood prepared for his most daring act yet, a vanishing act that promised to leave the audience breathless. Little did anyone know, the night would unfold into a spectacle far more sinister and inexplicable than any staged illusion. A hush fell over the expectant crowd as Jasper, with a mischievous glint in his eye, stepped into the ornate cabinet at center stage. His assistant, the beautiful Isabella, draped a shimmering velvet cloth over the cabinet, obscuring Jasper from view. The air crackled with anticipation as Isabella, with a flourish, snapped her fingers and whipped away the cloth. But the gasps of astonishment the audience expected were replaced by a collective gasp of horror. The cabinet stood empty. Jasper Blackwood had vanished. But this was no illusion. Panic gripped the theater as stagehands frantically searched behind curtains and beneath trapdoors. Whispers of disbelief quickly escalated into a cacophony of fear and confusion. The audience, once eager participants in Jasper's act, now found themselves unwilling players in a real-life mystery, one that defied logic and explanation. The vanishing of Jasper Blackwood was no parlor trick. It was a descent into a terrifying unknown. Days turned into weeks, and the disappearance of Jasper Blackwood remained an unsolvable enigma. The police investigation, fraught with dead ends and inconsistencies, only deepened the mystery. Theories ran rampant, ranging from elaborate hoaxes to jealous rivals seeking to sabotage Jasper's career. Then, a breakthrough, or so it seemed. A grainy video surfaced, captured by a member of the audience on that fateful night. The footage, though shaky and poorly lit, offered a chilling glimpse into the moments leading up to Jasper's vanishing. As the video played, investigators noticed something peculiar, something that sent a chill down their spines. In the background, a shadowy figure appeared for a split second, just as Isabella draped the velvet cloth over the cabinet. The figure was tall and gaunt, with long, sharp fingers that seemed to twitch with an unnatural energy. It was gone as quickly as it appeared, leaving behind a sense of unease that permeated the very air of the investigation room. The figure's brief appearance raised more questions than answers. Who was this mysterious entity? Was it an accomplice in Jasper's disappearance, or something far more sinister, something that lurked in the shadows, manipulating events from the periphery? The mystery deepened, pulling investigators and the public alike into a vortex of fear and uncertainty. Despite the chilling discovery, the Rialto Theater, bound by financial obligations and a legacy to uphold, decided to reopen its doors. The show, as they say, must go on. But a pall of unease hung over the once grand theater, a constant reminder of the unsolved vanishing that had shaken its foundations. One evening, as the stage lights illuminated a new performance, a hush fell over the audience. A chill ran down their spines as they noticed something peculiar. The ornate cabinet, the very one used in Jasper's ill-fated act, stood center stage once more. It was as if the theater itself was haunted by the memory of that fateful night. The air grew thick with tension as the lead performer, a young actress named Celia, approached the cabinet. She was to perform a simple disappearing act, a tribute to Jasper Blackwood, a way to exorcise the ghosts of the past. As Celia stepped into the cabinet, a collective gasp rippled through the audience. The spotlight flickered, plunging the theater into momentary darkness. When the lights flickered back on, Celia was gone. The cabinet stood empty, its dark interior a gaping maw that seemed to swallow the light itself. Panic erupted in the audience. History, it seemed, was repeating itself, but this time would anyone escape the magician's fate? In the quaint, sun-drenched town of Willow Creek, 8-year-old Emily received a gift that would forever alter the course of her life. A vintage porcelain doll, its glassy eyes seeming to hold a world of forgotten secrets. The doll, with its rosy cheeks and frilled lace dress, was a relic from a bygone era, purchased from an antique shop on the outskirts of town. Emily, captivated by the doll's delicate features and piercing blue eyes, named her Anya. She spent hours playing with her new companion, confiding in her secrets, dreams, and fears. Anya became more than just a toy to Emily. She was a confidant, a silent observer in the world of a lonely child. But as the days turned into nights, something about Anya began to unsettle Emily's parents. The doll's once innocent gaze seemed to take on a sinister quality, its blue eyes following their every move. They'd find Anya in odd places. On the kitchen table, staring out the window, propped up on Emily's pillow at night, her painted smile seemingly wider than before. They dismissed it as their imaginations running wild, fueled by the doll's antique nature and the stories they had heard about haunted objects. However, a creeping sense of dread began to settle over the household, a feeling that something wasn't quite right, a feeling that their daughter's new toy was not what it seemed. The once peaceful nights in the Miller household were shattered by Emily's terrified screams. She'd wake up in a cold sweat, claiming Anya was talking to her, whispering chilling tales of a shadowy realm and promising to take Emily there to play forever. Emily's parents, at their wits' end, tried everything to appease their daughter. They tried to convince Emily that Anya was just a doll, incapable of speech or movement. They even went so far as to remove the doll from Emily's room, locking it away in the attic, hoping to sever whatever hold it seemed to have over their daughter. But their efforts proved futile. Each night the whispers would return, softer now, but no less menacing. Emily would wake up, her eyes wide with terror, her small voice trembling as she recounted Anya's words. The doll, it seemed, could not be silenced. It had found a way to reach out from its confinement, weaving its dark influence over the innocent child. Emily's parents, their initial skepticism replaced by a chilling fear, began to suspect that the antique doll was more than just a child's plaything. It was a conduit, a vessel for something dark and ancient, something that sought to claim their daughter as its own. They found themselves trapped in a terrifying nightmare, their once happy home now a battleground for their daughter's soul. Desperate for answers, Emily's parents sought the help of a paranormal investigator, a woman known for her ability to communicate with the spirit world. The investigator, Mrs. Eleanor Vance, arrived at the Miller household, her piercing gaze and calm demeanor offering a glimmer of hope in their increasingly desperate situation. Mrs. Vance, after speaking with Emily and examining the antique doll locked away in the attic, made a chilling discovery. She uncovered an old, faded portrait hidden behind a loose brick in the attic wall. The portrait depicted a young girl, her eyes strikingly similar to Anya's, radiating a malevolence that sent shivers down Mrs. Vance's spine. The girl in the portrait, Mrs. Vance explained, was Anya, the daughter of the house's original owners. Anya had died tragically in a fire, her spirit, it seemed, seeking solace and perhaps revenge through the porcelain doll that bore her name. The fire, Mrs. Vance discovered, had been ruled an accident, but rumors persisted that it was no accident, that Anya had been playing with matches, that she had set the fire herself. Mrs. Vance believed that Anya's spirit, trapped and enraged, was using the doll as a vessel to lash out, to recreate the tragedy that had claimed her life. Emily, with her innocence and loving nature, was the perfect target, a blank canvas for Anya's tormented soul to paint its pain and rage. The Millers were facing a desperate battle against a force older and more powerful than they could have ever imagined. Deep within the decaying heart of a forgotten city lies an abandoned hospital, its sterile halls now echoing with the silence of the forgotten. It's a place where time itself seems to have stopped, where the air hangs heavy with the weight of untold suffering. And it's here, in this desolate wasteland of shattered glass and rusting medical equipment, that we find our next disturbing video. The footage begins with a shaky handheld camera, its lens struggling to pierce the gloom. The cameraman, his breathing ragged and uneven, whispers about rumors of paranormal activity, of patients who checked in but never checked out. He claims to be investigating these rumors, drawn to the hospital's dark allure like a moth to a flickering flame. As he ventures deeper into the hospital's bowels, the air grows colder, the stench of decay more overpowering. The silence is broken only by the scuttling of unseen creatures and the unsettling drip 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 of water from a leaking pipe. It's a symphony of unease, a prelude to the horror that awaits. The cameraman eventually stumbles upon an old ward, its bed stripped bare, its walls adorned with peeling paint and grotesque stains. A single flickering fluorescent light casts an eerie, sickly glow over the scene, highlighting the dust motes dancing in the stagnant air. As he pans the camera across the room, a faint whisper seems to emerge from the shadows. It's a barely audible sound, a fleeting murmur that could easily be dismissed as the wind whistling through broken windows. But the cameraman freezes, his breath catching in his throat. He slowly turns, his camera trained on the darkest corner of the room. The whispering grows louder, more insistent. It seems to be coming from everywhere and nowhere at once, a chorus of disembodied voices swirling around the cameraman. He takes a hesitant step forward, his fear palpable through the camera's shaky movements. "Hello?" he calls out, his voice trembling. "Is anyone there?" The only response is a sudden, ear-splitting crash from the far end of the ward. The cameraman jumps back, his camera wildly swinging towards the source of the noise. For a moment, all is still. Then, a figure emerges from the shadows. It's a tall, gaunt figure, its features obscured by the darkness. But its eyes burn with an unnatural intensity. 2 points of malevolent light that seem to pierce the very soul. The cameraman stumbles back, his fear-stricken whispers barely audible over the pounding of his heart. He tries to run, but his feet are rooted to the spot, frozen by a primal terror that claws at his sanity. The figure takes a step closer, then another. The whispering reaches a fever pitch, a cacophony of voices screaming in unison. The cameraman screams, dropping the camera as he turns and flees, the chilling laughter of the unknown echoing in his wake. The screen goes black. Our next video takes us from the chilling confines of an abandoned hospital to the seemingly mundane setting of a family gathering. It's a scene that could be plucked from any one of our lives. A group of people gathered around a table, sharing stories, laughter, and the warmth of familial bonds. But beneath this veneer of normalcy lurks a chilling mystery, a disappearance that defies all logical explanation. The video, shot on a handheld camcorder, captures the joyous atmosphere of a summer barbecue. Children are chasing each other through the sprinklers, their laughter echoing through the air. Adults are engaged in animated conversations, their faces flushed with the warmth of the sun and good company. It's a picture-perfect moment, frozen in time. The cameraman, a young man with a wide smile, pans across the gathering, capturing the faces of his loved ones. He jokes with his cousins, teases his siblings, and showers his parents with affection. It's a poignant reminder that even in the darkest corners of the internet, we can find glimpses of love, laughter, and the simple joys of human connection. But as the cameraman turns back to the table, his smile falters. His mother, who just moments ago was chatting animatedly with her sister, is gone. He scans the crowd, his brow furrowed in confusion. Where could she have gone? He lowers the camera, his voice laced with concern as he calls out to his mother. The other guests, initially oblivious to her disappearance, begin to exchange puzzled glances. The children's laughter fades, replaced by a growing sense of unease. The cameraman, his worry escalating with each passing second, begins to question his relatives. Had anyone seen where his mother went? Did she step away for a moment? But no one seems to have noticed her absence, let alone witnessed her departure. The video captures the frantic search for the missing mother, the growing panic etched on the faces of her loved ones. They scour the backyard, their calls of her name growing increasingly desperate. But there's no trace of her, no sign of where she could have gone. The cameraman, his voice choked with emotion, pleads with the camera, begging anyone watching to come forward with information. But his pleas are met with a haunting silence. The video ends abruptly, leaving us with more questions than answers. What happened to the missing mother? Did she simply wander off, or was there something more sinister at play? The lack of answers only deepens the mystery, leaving us to grapple with the unsettling possibility that sometimes people vanish without a trace. And there you have it, 7 disturbing videos from the darkest corners of the internet, each one a chilling glimpse into the unknown. We've witnessed inexplicable disappearances, encountered shadowy figures lurking in the darkness, and grappled with the unsettling possibility that some mysteries are better left unsolved. But the question remains, are these videos simply elaborate hoaxes, cleverly staged to send shivers down our spines? Or do they offer a glimpse into a reality that exists just beyond our comprehension? A world where the lines between the real and the unreal blur, and where the things that go bump in the night are all too real? That, my friends, is for you to decide. Sleep tight and remember, keep the lights on.